Hi, welcome to Meetings on the Mat. My name is Nicole, host, creator. Before all else, I would like to extend my gratitude for you not only being here to expand your knowledge, but to expand your overall optimal wealth. So essentially, Meetings on the Mat is to come together with holistic health practitioners within our communities that I like to refer to as healers. And they're essentially sharing their story and their journey with us on how they healed themselves, which in turn created a space for them to heal the community. So as we take this journey together, I am extremely excited. I am thrilled for each and every individual we're going to cross paths with along this journey. I'm ready to learn, as are you. Love and abundance, all. Welcome to Meetings on the Mat. Welcome back. Today I'm here with guest Dox.
Peace.
AKA Brick City Buddha. How you doing today, brother?
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here right now. Yeah.
I love that. Present, in the moment.
And that's what you asked me when I came in. I said the same. I always say that when people ask how I'm doing. I'm just right here because we'll often project to what we're going to be doing in the future or what may have transpired before we got here. And when you just here, you eliminate all that. So I'm here. Peace.
Now I'm here.
Fun.
Thank you for that. So first and foremost, me and the audience would like to know, what brought you to the mat?
Pain. Pain. Those who don't know me, Brick City Buddha, that moniker kind of represents the duality. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I never thought I would be nobody's meditation teacher. I never thought I would be doing meditation myself. I never thought I would be like an 80% raw vegan. I would have laughed at who I am right now 10 years ago. But like I've seen in my journey and the people that I counsel, that I meditate with, lead classes for, nobody is going to come to a session, is going to come to a class, especially where we from, unless something is fucked up in their life. And I know I'm supposed to be a meditation teacher, but I'm going to keep it super a buck with y'all. So pain. My kidney was conking out at 23 years old. I got diagnosed with 17% kidney functionality. They said I would be on dialysis by 30. They said I would need a transplant by 35. That I could never improve those numbers. So I'm on all this medication. I'm at the youngest person at the renal center, UMDNJ. If y'all from Newark, y'all know what's up. And that process led me down a rabbit hole of not just my kidney conking out. I went blind in my left eye as a result of the pressure in my body. 13-year relationship disintegrated. The woman I thought I would marry, I realized I couldn't have her. All my homies, my brothers and all of that, they all disappeared. Family didn't live here. Fired from 5 straight jobs, right? So my personal version of rock bottom, which we all have, like that's why I always reference Erykah Badu, bag lady. I was carrying my bag, and a friend of mine that I was doing music with early on in my career, he had kind of taken this path. Like when we had money on the table, deals on the table, he realized he needed to create a meditation platform. We was angry at him, but it's funny how it worked because I didn't realize I was going to need him to save my life. My first suicide attempt was like 9 years ago, and I was on the verge at that point that I just described of my second suicide attempt, which wouldn't have been just an attempt. I wouldn't be here right now. And my brother reached out to me at that point in a 5-week online course. Just changed my whole perspective of life, which changed my whole trajectory. And Mr. Murphy's Law, like I used to dub myself, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, turned into literally everything just starting to fall in place effortlessly from the precepts we're going to talk about right now via meditation. Yeah.
I love that. So you did that for yourself and you went down that journey and that path. What do you do for the community to help elevate it?
The exact same thing. Like I realized at this point, working with so many different practitioners and healers, I think our perspective of healing is skewed. And a lot of times we think we're supposed to fix somebody or attempt to fix somebody, which you can't do anyway. For me, healing is just seeing more of yourself, right? Even when I'm always breaking down words, splitting them apart. So he, man, right, all. Seeing all of yourself is what healing is really about. And we can only really do that effectively, not through the techniques, not through the terms I know, nothing like that, but just sharing my story like I'm doing right now, spreading my light and in hopes that it will illuminate somebody else's darkness. They do the same for somebody else, and then all the way down the line, we're able to do that for each other. And it's been a process. Like my first class, one person showed up. I remember when I was still getting a download to teach meditation. Again, I had got what I needed for myself. I didn't want to do nothing for nobody else at that point. Like, I had been through so much, I didn't really want to give anything. But the nagging download just kept coming. You're supposed to go teach. And mind you, I'm still on disability, barely got enough money to pay my bills. I'm living in Plainfield, like 40 minutes away from Newark. But Spirit was telling me to come to Newark and start doing these free classes. And when I finally honored that, one person showed up. Like I said on my album, I always shout her out, Ashanti King. It's always the goddesses that hold us down and set the foundation. But Ashanti King showed up. It was a crazy session. She cried, she broke down, she released. And from that point, 4 years ago now, we lit, we on the news, thousands of people coming to events. It's just crazy right now, so, yeah.
Before we go any further with you speaking on meditation, what it does for the community and self, let's boil down to the basics. What is meditation and mindfulness, so to speak?
I'm to the point where, like, that term, I use it because that's what people identify with, but it's kind of antiquated to me now. But for me, meditation is the remembrance and the awareness that I'm not just Dox, right? That beyond what's in this room right now, all this physical reality, this conversation we having right now, there's a piece of ourself that's watching all this happen. That's in complete silence, stillness, peace. A lot of times when people come to me for meditation, yoga, whatever, they trying to find God. And for me, meditation is the awareness that you can never leave God. You never lost God. You just forgot to pay attention. So meditation for me is just paying attention to that piece of ourselves that we go whole lifetimes ignoring. And that's why our lives end up fucking up, because we forget to go home.
To self.
Yeah, to self.
Oh, I say that all the time. On Sundays, specifically Sundays, I call it coming home to self.
Right.
Where I'm just very intentional and I'm paying attention to what I'm doing, internally and externally.
Right.
I have a question, as well as the audience may be wondering. What you said hit deep, at least for me, with meditation being people either coming to you looking for God or looking for some type of faith, hope, anything such as that. How do you, and to you, you verbalized it by saying meditation is realizing and finding that God never left you.
Right.
How do you help, or how do you suggest people have that remembrance? Like, how can I get there if I'm not there and I'm looking to be there and I'm coming to you asking what I should do mindfulness wise or meditation wise outside of that physical word? What are the actions behind it?
This gonna sound super, like, I guess regular, but as a matter of fact, I'll demarcate it like this. Everybody always talks about being present, right? If you've heard anything about spirituality, I'm sure you've heard that word used before. But there's a difference between being present and presence itself, right? So while y'all was doing your things, I was outside. And most of the quote unquote what will look like a technique to somebody else, for me, is just simplicity. I'm just outside, I'm just sitting there, I'm hearing the cars go by, right? I'm hearing the birds, I'm feeling the warmth on the sun, warmth of the sun on my skin. Just starting to sink into not trying to be present in a moment, but understanding that presence is all of this, right? We usually think that we stop where the skin stops. We think we stop where our mental projections stop. But if you can perceive it, how could it not be a part of you? You know what I'm saying? Right now, we see these walls, we feel this floor. This is all part of the information in this moment. So really just learning how to spill into that. And you don't really need a fancy technique. You don't got to read a bunch of meditation books. You just got to practice that. So I would, anybody that's listening to me right now, go outside, go in your backyard when you get a second. Take a few minutes. Just start with a minute if you can. And just really download everything in that moment and pay complete attention. You'll start to notice how loud silence is. You start to realize that you didn't hear a bird all day, but as soon as you went outside and paid attention, you can't even hear the cars now. You can't hear your noisy ass neighbors, all you hear is the birds now. You know what I'm saying? So just going from being present to presence itself is probably the easiest, simplest, most effective way to start to get to that point.
So I guess that answers my question on how to meditate, so to speak. That was the next thing I was going to ask you. He's literally just like, go outside, just close your eyes, listen to the birds. And now I'm going to do it. As soon as we done, I got to walk out, go outside and just.
And it's crazy that you say that, not to cut you off, but I also do counseling, a lot of couples counseling. And since COVID hit, I've done more couples counseling in the past like 4 months, in the past 4 years. But you start to realize that a huge part of the reason people run away from self-love, meditation, whatever that may look like for them, is because we banking on plugging into a particular outlet of energy, a person, a place, a thing, a relationship. And when that falls to pieces, we feel like we don't have nothing left. So when you really start to practice and identify with, you're always in a constant state of receivership. Being that you in your interview bag, you probably haven't thought about the receivership spilling into your nose for the past few minutes, right? Not no boogers or nothing like that. Your breath, right?
Like, yeah, they tell me.
Right, your breath from like around, I think the 18th day, the heart starts to beat. When we in the womb. From that point, it's never stopped, right? And like I said, you always got all of this universe at your disposal all around you, but we worried about Kareem or Shanti. I don't know why I'm saying Shantisha right now. That's super ghetto. But we trying to plug into all these things that are meant for seasons. And when they leave, we distraught, we broken, and we forget I still got a universe at my disposal right now. So, yeah, man.
I actually, you had me checking my nose, but that was gonna. Can you touch on forms of meditation? Are there certain forms and or breath work or the breath, focusing on it? Because you just brought me back to breath, and I'm always reminding myself to breathe.
Right.
So
there are different legs, there are different arms of yoga. You have like Raja Yoga, which is action. You have Bhakti Yoga, which is devotion. So even certain Hasidic Jews and Muslims that do their techniques all day, every day, they don't even worry about anything else. That's like the devotion of it. There's Karma Yoga, how you treat yourself, how you treat the world. So it's a lot of different paths to the same source. And I always say breath is super important. I'm at the point where even breath needs to be witnessed and watched, as opposed to just, all right, let me breathe out of this. I need to watch even the breath and understand it's coming from that place I'm talking about. But starting out, I always say breath controls the emotions. The emotions dictate your choices, and the choices eventually end up becoming your reality. So think about in moments when you guys are angry or upset or anxious, right? You may have some nervous energy. The breath starts to palpitate, right? Your heart starts to palpitate, breath starts to either hyperventilate or hypoventilate. You don't breathe at all, you breathe too much, right? So it's a semblance, it's an example that energy is rushing to the surface of your body, and it needs a vent. It needs a way to be processed properly for you to be able to handle the energy. Nervous energy is beautiful. The fact that we call it nervous, it has a negative connotation. So we think we don't want to be nervous before we do something, but think about it. If you're nervous, that means you're about to stand in front of a crowd or do something fancy, right? Nobody else in the world is in that moment, in that place, in that position to do what you're there to do. So you need a surge in energy to emit what you need to emit in that moment. And a lot of times we try to block it or calm it down. Just let that thing flow. So breath helps you to be able to navigate that surge in energy that comes up. Like I work with a lot of kids in Newark, most of them in gangs, even the girls, most of them in gangs, high school students. And I always tell them when a little homie pull the trigger, he's not thinking about 30 years. He's not thinking about the consequences, because in that moment, he doesn't have a mechanism to kind of differentiate the energy, to move it. So pulling that trigger is release. It's solving the issue, at least in that moment, because somebody got shot, he mad, you took my girl, whatever it is. It's too much energy coming to surface. So that pulling the trigger is the same thing we do when we meditate. It's just with the meditation, it's a less expensive way of releasing the energy. Yeah.
what would you say to that, if you had the opportunity, to that young boy before he pulled that trigger? How is he unpacking? You said he has all that energy coming up and needs somewhere to go. He needs some type of outlet. What are you doing with that energy?
The first thing I would say, even before you get to the point where you can remember to breathe, is just patience. Because the mind is very cunning. It's used to being in control. I always say the mind is like a 10-year-old kid driving a car. You gave them the keys and then you get mad that they crash your car. The mind is not your enemy. It's not your adversary. It's just been given a job it was never meant to do. So a lot of times when these situations happen, the mind is saying you're going to be in this state, you're going to feel this heartache, you're going to feel this anger for the rest of your life, right? So just the patience of understanding that everything also is a wave. There's been moments where we've been in complete bliss and peace and happiness and joy, and then the opposite end of the spectrum. None of those states ever stay. None of them will ever be the same forever. The only thing that's going to be the same is source, which watches all these changes, watches all these waves. So when you could just take a few seconds, a few minutes to just be patient and sit in what you feel instead of trying to figure it out, or however you go about doing that, you're going to notice that that wave is going to start to lose steam. As intense as it may be initially, it's going to start to lose steam. Every single thought and emotion has to come and go, especially when you don't identify with it. And part of what the mind does is you think you got to figure out the issue or figure out the problem, and you forget that the energy wants to express itself. If you could just allow it to do that, within minutes you'll realize, like, yo, that's not even that deep. I don't got to shoot this man. I don't got to beat this bitch up, or whatever it is that you're going to do. You'll realize that it's going to come and go like everything else. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's before you even get to the meditation part. So just being patient in that moment with your energy.
I'm gonna play the opposer's like advocate on this side of trying to understand what, so say I'm new to meditation and you're saying that, right? Like just sit with the energy and it all has to come and go anyway.
Right.
What if I'm uncomfortable with it being like, it came, it's here, now I'm uncomfortable, I'm moving, I can't sit still, I can't meditate.
Being that the mind is going so fast, we think between 55 and 75 thoughts per minute, 80,000 thoughts per day. So we forget that we have a history of the dichotomy of pleasure and pain. Pain is the guru, it's the guide. So in those moments where you're uncomfortable, there's an opportunity to grow. And it's just that we living so fast, we forget, damn, every time I was uncomfortable, I leveled up in some way, shape, or form. So I would just remind people that sitting at discomfort, you saw what it gave you the last time.
I love that. Okay, I want to go into knowing how I can, or me and the audience community can find your meditation classes. But first and foremost, I would love to know what's on your knuckles. Like, can you just share, just super random?
Yeah, I got some magnetic hematite. This was gifted to me on my birthday by Shino, the owner of Blueberry Cafe. My son loves this, by the way. The hematite helps to absorb negative energy. So whenever I'm working with a counseling session, a client, I know I'm going to absorb a lot. So I always got my hematite, I got my black tourmaline around me to just absorb that influx of energy. And as far as like where people could reach me at, brickcitybuddha.com is my official site. Like I said, I do one-on-one meditation, group meditation parties, couples counseling, individual counseling, and then they can also reach me at Brick City Buddha on IG. That's brick_city, CITI_Buddha, BUDDHA. And on Facebook, Dox Diggla.
Dox Diggla. Okay, and what do you have upcoming within the community?
Initially, my classes, like when I had the first class, the one person showed up, it turned into a platform called Peace in the Park, where I was doing these free sessions for the community. One person turned to about 50 by the end of that summer in like 3 months. And from that point, meditation education, my company has developed. So I got away from that because we got a space now. But when COVID hit, we couldn't get in our space. I kind of got the download to go back into nature. And initially, I didn't know how the community was going to receive that. But as soon as we threw up the promo, everybody was like, yo, I need this. We've averaged like 150 people, everyone. And then we'll be doing our next weekend retreat, September 18th to the 20th. Yes. Beautiful experience. We got 26 acres of land in Pennsylvania. You barely hear a car drive by. I mean, no smog, no pollution, no trap music blasting in your window at 5:30 in the morning. You could just go out there and be yourself and recharge. So yeah, that's what's next.
And how do you sign up for that retreat?
Y'all can hit me up directly in my IG, or you can hit up at Journey with Kati. That's Journey with Kati. She's the other fellow practitioner who gave us access to the land. She's a herbalist, a medicinist, so y'all can hit up either one of us to get more information about that.
Okay. All right. So I am going to, actually, you didn't share with us what you also do with the community as far as your music. You was just sitting here talking about, what?
Because I'm in my meditation. See, when I say I'm here, and a lot of times, like, Nasha will be at class, and we'll be done, or we'll be at an event or something like that. And they got to remind me, like, bro, plug what you do. Like, I be totally forgetting because I'm so in the moment. But my journey really started as an artist. I was an artist for 15 years at this point before this last release. Worked with some of the biggest names in music. Had deals, like I said, with Universal was on the table, Sylvia Rone, Akon. Met Kanye before he was Kanye, was inducted into the Newark Hip Hop Hall of Fame. But like I said, I've been such in this meditation bag, I kind of, I guess, lost step with that. But the universe opened up the door and allowed me to release my new album. There Is No Spoon. We just released last week. So y'all can, it's free too. Y'all can find that on my website, and it'll be on all streaming platforms, I believe, by next week. And my music website is doxdiggla.com, DOXDIGGLA.com. Right? And real quick, I was just posting earlier, it's Black Lives Matter right now, matters because it's an ebb and flow. Sometimes we care, sometimes we don't, till somebody gets shot. But we so often focus on the white cop that's killing the black man, right? We don't focus on the other parameters of the music that's coming into our psyche and our consciousness, that's putting us in positions to have our men locked up, to kill each other. The sexual promiscuity that turns into children born out of wedlock. It's just so many layers of Black Lives Matter. And I just posted today, if you can't turn off toxic hip hop, then does Black lives really matter to you? You know what I mean? So my album kind of represents that. And it's in that like dichotomy, because a lot of conscious music be boring, right? Like flat out, I don't even like a lot of conscious music because they like try too hard to be that. So it's a beautiful balance of still having that entertainment value. There's certain songs on there, women from across the country had me up like, yo, Dox, I know you as a meditation teacher. How you got a whole song I'm twerking to right now? Like, so it got both sides of the spectrum, and There Is No Spoon. The concept for that comes from The Matrix. That helped like open my consciousness back in 1999 when I first saw that. And there's a part in The Matrix where Neo is going to see if he's the one. He's in the room with all the potential ones, and one of them is bending the spoon. And Neo tries to do it. He can't do it at first. And he tells him, you got to realize that that spoon doesn't exist in that form. It's really just pure energy. It's projecting as a spoon that makes you feel like you can't bend it. And the spoon is a metaphor for the limitations in your life. And when you realize that all of this is a part of you, it's just what you focus on is what comes into fruition. If you let go of the idea it's a limitation, it stops being a limitation.
So what you're saying is your thoughts literally create your reality.
Absolutely. And I would encourage people, I'm a quantum physics nerd. Like even when I was out here hustling in the streets, I'll be on a block with quantum mechanics books. But there's this experiment called the double slit experiment, where science has already corroborated. They won't call it God. They never put God on it. But they've already corroborated that we literally are living in the computer program of our own consciousness, projecting everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you inside of me right now.
How can I find that?
The double slit SLIT. You can just YouTube that. You'll see a bunch of different videos that break down the proof that we literally project our world from our consciousness.
You literally just gave me my rest of the day. I'm gonna go meditate. Once we done, I'm gonna go find some YouTube documentaries to watch.
And then she's gonna bump There Is No Spoon.
Exactly,
Easy.
literally.
Easy.
And as we come to that, I'm actually gonna ask you to close us out with meditation.
Okay.
But before we get you in your meditation bag again, I would love to hear even like 2-3 lines from one of your favorite songs. Plug us to some conscious rap.
Head to toe, I'm magnifique. God anoint my hand and feet so I could manifest for all I reach. Every step is ordered, every leap. Holy yoni man is deep. Became just who I plan to be. From beatings over granny knee to beating up the beat elite. Spirit based like a Sikh. Truth and balance all I seek. Ishnan like a 3. For the sun even peak. Plant based the physique. You could save your Philippe's. They tricked us all with the treats. Dog, you all what you eat. 4-star for the feast. I'll leave it at that. There is no spoon. Go get that. We lit. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go into this meditation. So for this, wherever y'all at, you can stay nice and relaxed. If you want to lay down, you can. It's probably a little more helpful if you're not a veteran yet. Or even if you are, maybe more comfortable. I think I'm going to do the same thing with y'all. As long as y'all can still hear me while I lay down. Okay. All right. We're going to do this right. Got our crystal set up. Okay. And whenever you lay down, you want to lay in Shavasana, also known as dead man's pose. So your feet are going to be shoulder width apart. Your hands are going to be slightly away from your waist. And the palms are going to be facing upward. You don't need to strain your forearms to get them to stay up. Just make sure they're not planted on the ground. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, again, this is about noticing and just paying attention. And being patient as well. So for the first just few seconds to a minute, I want you to give your body the space to start to decompress and accept the state of stillness. And what I mean by that is a lot of times it's people's first time doing this. You'll notice you have all these different compulsions to want to move. A finger may want to wiggle. All of a sudden you want to scratch every body part. Instead of honoring these compulsions, I want you to just witness the impulse come and just choose not to go with it. Choose not to identify with it. So when those muscles spasm, when some piece of your body wants to do some level of work, you can, even with your internal voice, communicate to it that it's okay to be still right now. We don't need to do anything. Let's take a few seconds to complete that process and allow your body to sink in to what I call a true stillness. Just let everything go. You're going to start to feel the flesh almost like it's sliding off the bones towards the floor beneath you. Right now, I want you to notice some of the things you would normally ignore, like the sensation of your clothes wrapped around your skin. I want you to pay attention to the quality, the details of the clothing, whether it's tight or loose. Just feel your clothes wrapped around your skin. We get dressed every day for a lifetime, and we've never really noticed this. I want you to also see if you can pay attention to the space in between your skin and your clothes. Even if the clothes are tight, there's still a layer of space between the skin and the clothes. Just pay attention to that. The more you pay attention to these things you normally ignore, the body is still dropping into more stillness. The muscles in the hands are letting go. Take a quick scan of the body. A lot of times our jaw is super tight. So while you're laying here or sitting, I want you to allow your jaw to be so relaxed that while the mouth is closed, the teeth don't even touch. That bottom jaw is just kind of hanging out. I want you to pay attention to the eyes. If you notice they're squeezed or squinching, just go ahead and give the eyes permission to soften up. Your shoulders may be propped up towards the bottom of your earlobes. If you notice this, allow the shoulders to start to melt down towards the lower body. And it's only going to take a few minutes now that we're in this state of stillness, accepting and surrendering the lack of motion or doing. I want you to pay attention to the layer of yourself that is mental projection, which we call mind. So I don't want you to stop any thought. I don't want you to force your mind in any direction. All I want you to do is witness and pay attention to whatever thoughts are coming into your conscious field. It's almost like watching the theater of your thoughts. You're just watching the movie of your mind. I don't care if it's ratchet, if it's business, if it's relational, if it's hunger, whatever comes up, with no judgment, but also with no attachment, just watch it. Don't expect what I'm going to do next. Don't go to what was. Just stay right here. And anything that is in this moment mentally, just for a few more seconds, just watch it. In case in point, a lot of times when we meditate, the thought of hunger will arise. And before we know it, we're eating our next meal in our mind. So just as an example, if hunger comes up, you notice it, but you don't build a story on top of it. You don't follow it. You witness hunger and let it go. So whatever's coming up, don't attach to it. Notice it and let it go. Now, right now, we're watching the thoughts come to us. And as we finish up, I want you to see if you can notice or even sense from where these thoughts are springing forth. These thoughts enter the mind from somewhere. we've never really paid attention to where that somewhere is or what that is. I want you to see if you can sense almost like bubbles in a glass of soda. They just sporadically, randomly pop in and out of existence, just like these thoughts. See if you can sense the source, almost like a soil of where the seeds of your thoughts are popping out of. And I want you to even let go of the idea that these are your thoughts. Just tap into the awareness that thoughts are simply happening, none of which are yours. No identification, no ownership, just witness. And anything that may come in is allowed to. We just don't hold on to it. For this last minute, just stay in this state. Let go of the idea of meditation. Let go of the idea of you watching this podcast or this show. Let go of the idea that there's anybody or anything else in the world outside of you in this moment. Even let go of the idea of you, your name, your self-image, your body type, your skin color. None of that needs to be held on to right now. Just drop it off. Last 10 seconds, just enjoy this peace in this state. Unattached, unbothered. And then when I count us down from 3, you're going to take a nice big breath in through your nostrils, slowly and smoothly, but fully. And you're going to hold it and let it out the mouth with a sigh. In 3, 2, big breath in through the nostrils. Hold it. Feel it gathering all the tension that you stored throughout the course of a day, a week, a month, a year, or a life. And when we release this breath, let it all out of the system. And let it out. Get it all out the lungs. And when you're ready, you slowly start to gather yourself and come back up. Or if you want to lay in Shavasana, just cool out. But we on a time, so be back.
I personally would stay in Shavasana. But I guess we got to get up. Thank you so much, brother, for being here with me, spreading your knowledge and love. Give me
I was going to ask, can we do that now?
Of course we can.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. You are appreciated for all that you are and do.
I see you.